You're listening to The Featured Voice, a podcast summer series on the Audio Flow with Jacques.
Hey everyone, welcome to week 7 of The Featured Voice. I'm your host, Jacques, and again, I'm super excited about being here. I can't believe we're in week 7 already. That means we're coming up on the end of 2 months of bringing you new narrators that maybe you aren't familiar with, and also kind of connecting you with some ones that you may be familiar with but got a chance to learn a little bit more about them. And that's the purpose of the Featured Voice, is not only learning about who they are as narrators, but also who they are as people and getting those fun facts. I know I've had a great time meeting everyone, and this week is no different. Actually, this is the first person I've had a chance to connect with who is not in the United States. So how fun is that? This narrator that I'm going to introduce you to lives in Hong Kong. And so, yes, we are chatting directly with her from Hong Kong today. And I love her voice, and I know that you're going to love her voice just as much as I do. She's super talented, and found out how old she is, and I'm just blown away. So I'm so excited to introduce to you all this week's featured guest, Leanne Yau. Well, good evening, Leanne. How are you?
Hi, I'm really excited to be here.
Well, I am excited to have you as a part of the Featured Voice. You know, you are my the first guest that I've had a chance to talk to who's across the pond. So, yay you for being number 1.
Oh gosh, that's quite an honor.
The pressure, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, no, I hope I set a good precedent, I guess.
You're going to do a fantastic job, and I've had an opportunity to listen to a couple of the samples that you sent me, and we'll share those a little bit later with our listeners. So, you know, this is just all fun. Everybody, Leanne was a little bit nervous, and so I tell her I get nervous too. In case you guys didn't know, even though nobody sees me, I still get nervous. So don't feel bad. Everything is going to be fine. It's going to be fun. And we're here to learn more about Leanne. So right now, it's what, 9:30 where you are, right?
11:30 p.m. actually.
See, I have no idea about how to calculate time zones. So I'm just glad that you're up. So thanks for being the night owl.
Yeah, I mean, it's the summer, right? Like, you can sleep and wake up at any time you want, basically.
Yeah, that's
Like, I mean, for me anyway, because I'm a student, so you know, I get the long holidays.
Oh, cool. So that's interesting to know. So you're currently in school. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm 19. Well, just turned 19 actually. I'm going to university in the autumn.
Oh, well, congratulations. Well, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
You're almost officially an adult. You've got to, well, yeah, you're almost officially
I am an adult over like where I am, but I guess it's 21 or something over there, isn't it? Where you can legally do things.
I like how you said legally do things. That's a really proper way of stating that. We legally do things here at 21. And where you are now 1 year over legal. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
What are you studying?
I'm studying law. So
wow. Wow.
Completely different from so I kind of treat currently audiobooks as a kind of hobby. But I've been recording stories and stuff like that for about 5 years now, but I only started doing it professionally in the last 2.
Okay. So
yeah.
You're studying to become a lawyer, and you are recording audiobooks kind of as a hobby. So before you started recording them professionally, what other things were you doing? Were you doing commercials?
Nothing like that. It's kind of, you know, not the usual way people start out with these kind of things, but basically a couple of years back, I mean, okay, so I'm a massive fangirl, I'm a massive geek, and I was a huge fan of the fantasy genre, so I really liked Harry Potter. I really liked Merlin, the BBC's adaptation of Merlin. And so back then I read a lot of fan fiction. And so in the fandom, when I came across a story that I liked, as a gift to the author, to show my appreciation for their work, I'd just record their story, and I'd add effects to it and things like that, and music. And I just did it like purely for fun. Like, I didn't get paid for it or anything. I just kind of did it to, I guess, contribute to the fandom, I guess, and so we could all just enjoy the show or the book a little more.
That is so
And
cool.
yeah, I mean, my mom always thought it was a waste of time because I was spending hours and hours and hours on the thing I wasn't even getting paid for. But then this is going to be quite a lengthy story about how I started out with audiobooks, because
No, it's totally
quite a weird journey. So
we want to know.
okay. So I started out with what they're called podfics. So kind of like podcast fanfics, podfics. I recorded those for a while, and when I was 16, I was in my English class, and our teacher started talking about this website called LibriVox. And she said, because we were studying Hamlet at the time by Shakespeare, and she said, you guys should listen to audiobooks, because they really like, you have to slow down your reading. You're not allowed to skim any of the sentences, and you can really appreciate the text properly. And so she directed us to LibriVox, because everything on there is free, and they do public domain audiobooks and stuff. I'm sure you've probably talked about LibriVox with other guests in your show.
Jennifer.
Yeah. yeah, I know her actually. I'll get to that. And so I started volunteering on LibriVox because I found the site. I thought, this is a cool thing, and this is something I do anyway. So I started volunteering there. And after about 2 weeks, I suddenly got a message from this guy, Dennis Daly. He was the CEO of Voices of Today, and he also ran the online stage, which Jennifer talked about. And so he invited me to be part of the thing. And obviously I was super excited because I'd just been doing everything just for fun up till now, and then here was just I was just being invited to this group with people like Elizabeth Klett and Ariel Lipshaw, and just people like who are really famous not only on LibriVox but also just in the audiobook community. And for me, I was like 17 years old. I never thought this would happen. But anyway, so I joined the online stage, and after about a year or so, and just getting to know other people on there a bit more, I learned about ACX. So I started recording audiobooks and going solo there, and here I am.
That's a wonderful journey, because you took something that you kind of enjoyed and made it into something so much more, and not necessarily something that is your go-to career at this moment, but you've already made a name for yourself just in that little amount of time at such a young age. So applause to you for just starting in that direction, and here you are on my podcast, and I'm so glad to.
I'm really happy to be here. Yeah, I'm very flattered. Thank you.
You are so welcome. And you're only 19. Yeah. You're 19. I can't believe that you're only 19.
Is it because of my voice? I don't know. No. I've been told I sound older than I am.
Well, I don't know if you sound older, because I sound like I'm 12. So I'm probably not the best person to kind of describe voice by age. But I say that because of the level of maturity in this industry has to be in a certain space, in a head space. And just because how you told me you started the journey with enjoying books and just recording them and sending them to the author as a thank you. I mean, that's the first I've heard of, someone actually doing that. And it wasn't so much of, you wanted to get recognition for anything. You did it because you enjoyed it and thought it was fun. And now you're here, and, now we know Leanne. And now we want Leanne on our books. That's my plug, everybody. We want Leanne on our books because she likes sci-fi and fantasy, right? Is that your go-to genre in your personal life? What do you enjoy just reading or listening to in your leisure time?
I mean, I listen to quite a wide range of things. So I've got everything from okay, so let's see, what do I listen to? I'm just gonna take my phone and scroll through my library here. Yeah, I've got quite a wide range of things. I do like fantasy and sci-fi. I like dystopian novels. A book I just finished listening to actually was The Gender Game by Bella Forrest, and
Nice.
yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much. Like, oh my God, like the just I can't even express it in words. So yeah, so dystopian novels, sci-fi, fantasy. Yeah, and I like anything with a really like gripping story, a bit of action, a bit of romance, that sort of thing. In terms of what I narrate, though, I mean, I narrate quite a wide variety of things. I've done sci-fi, and but I've also done children's books. That was what I first started out with on ACX. And with the online stage, I did more like older stuff like Jane Austen, Dickens, that sort of thing, and a bit of historical fiction as well. And yeah, I don't know. I just dabble. I'm still kind of trying to find my niche. I guess, I just gravitate to what I like, and I just see where it takes me.
So you've kind of gone through several different genres. So if you had to pick, one that you would like to go into next, I guess the perfect script and genre came and fell in your lap, what would it be?
I want a book set in China, which is where I'm from. I'm from Hong Kong. I'm Chinese, so I speak fluent Mandarin and Cantonese as well as English and German, but that's a separate point. And I'd love to specialize in narrating English books that were set in China. So there'd be Chinese phrases and proverbs and things in there, and I could speak in Chinese now and then. And I have actually, like, I've narrated 3 books now that were set in China that required me to speak Chinese. So that has been pretty fun. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of books like that out there. But that would be something I'd love to specialize in. Just something, any books where I can use more than one language.
Yes, I love it. So now we need to find an author who writes books with a little bit of Chinese in there, some phrases, so Leanne can narrate the book. That's my
or
goal
German
now.
as well. Or
And
German.
German.
I've been learning German for 7 years. I'm pretty much fluent, and I hope my accent is authentic. So I'd love to narrate books set in Germany as well. I'm sure there are lots of, I don't know, spy novels out there or something that I love to get my hands on.
Yes, we need to make that happen. And so here's a question that I want to know. Okay, to you don't have an accent. To me, you have an accent because, again, I'm American. So, it's weird saying that, right? Because to someone who's not, who doesn't live in America, we have an accent, right? Or do you guys?
Yeah, definitely. There is no one in this world where I think they have no accent. Like, everyone has an accent. And no one's accent is... there isn't like a standard accent. Even if I say like a British accent, like that can range. Like if you walk around in London, you walk 20 minutes and the way people talk changes.
Yes.
So accents are never standardized, and I think just everyone has their own kind of deal, I guess.
Very true.
Mine,
Very true. So my thing is, if you were narrating a book and the person is American, like, do you have to do an American accent? Can you do an American accent? Have you done one of those? Like, can you?
Actually, I once narrated a book set in California. I mean, my American accent is not like really good, and I need to like get into the space. like you can probably hear right now that it's not perfect, but once I get into it, it sounds passable, I guess.
It sounds great. I'm over here sitting. I'm sitting.
No,
in my...
that was a really bad attempt. I'm so sorry.
It really
Any
was.
American listeners out there, that was terrible.
It was perfect. Now you don't want to hear me try to do somebody's accent because you'd be like, please stop. Just, stop.
Yeah, I mean, I love accents. So, I wish I were better at them. But yeah, occasionally there is an American character in my book, and I do an accent. But if I had to sustain an accent that I did not speak in for an entire book, I'd probably die. So, if a character occasionally coming in and speaking that accent, that's fine. But not an entire book. I couldn't do that.
I think you could get away with it. I think your American accent was fine, and it goes along with what you said previously, that accents aren't standard, and everybody's tone and inflection, all of that's different. So unless somebody was a linguist and they listened to you and said, "Oh, that's not American. That's not how Americans speak," nobody would know. You sounded perfect. So good job.
I'm glad you think so. I think it still needs a bit of work, but I feel like, yeah, my just recording audiobooks in general, I'm always on a learning curve.
I love it. So German, what made you decide that you wanted to learn German?
Well, I mean, I went to an international school where German was compulsory, so to be honest, I had no choice. But I did fall in love with the language. I really did, because yeah, I mean, the consonants are just so satisfying, and I don't know, the grammar is very challenging, but I do like a challenge. So
well, good.
I mean, yeah, and I've been learning it for 7 years. I did German for my A-levels. I feel like I could probably live in Germany if I wanted to. Like I've spent enough time there over the holidays and generally gotten my way around. So I don't know. I like languages. And yeah, I mean I grew up trilingual. So learning some more just I don't know, just helps me get places. There was a quote that I read somewhere. I think my German teacher, like, he put it on the door to his classroom. Something along the lines of die Grenze meiner Sprache sind die Grenze meiner Welt, which means like the boundaries, which roughly translates to like the boundaries of my language, like the languages I can speak are the boundaries of my world. So the more languages, the more of the world you can experience.
Gosh, you inspire me so much, and I tell you, I speak English. And that's pretty much it. And I studied French for 7 years, and I probably can only tell you bathroom and water. And that's just, it wouldn't get me very far if I went to France. And yeah, it'd be more like there's an app for everything. So now I feel like I can be lazy and I can travel without learning anything as long as I have an app that can translate and speak it for me, So
oh yeah, definitely, and you'll get by in France fine even with just English. It'll be fine.
See,
like,
I need to go there now because you recommended and said that I could go over there and I would be fine just with my English.
Yeah, I mean most places in Europe people speak pretty good English. I mean, at least from what I've seen. So yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, I'm going to go over there. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Leanne work-wise. So you did send me a sample here, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So you did mention earlier that you started recording children's books. Now, do you remember what your first official audiobook was that went to Audible that was your paid work?
I mean, okay, looking back, that book was terrible, but I mean, but, I always just look at my old work and go, why did I do that? I should have done this. And yeah, I mean, I'm still proud of it in my own way. I'm my own worst critic, I guess. But yeah, to answer your question, my first book, my first solo book that I did with ACX was Pansy and Violet Meet the Dragons by Maggie Jeffrey, a British author, and it's part of a series called the Colour Fairies series, and it's a really wholesome kids series about just teaching. I think it's aimed for 5 to 7 year olds, or maybe younger. I'm not sure, and basically teaches. It uses a really creative story to teach kids about colour. So there's a fairy for every colour of the rainbow, and they have adventures. And for example, like one day they talk. There was I did several books in this series. There was one called The Mystery of the Pink, where they were trying to figure out how to make pink for the cherry blossoms. And at the end of the book, it's like red and white make pink. So why don't you try it for yourself? And it's really cute. It's really, really cute. And I've really enjoyed doing children's books because you can just sound so enthusiastic throughout the entire thing. Yeah, starting out with children's books was quite good as well because they were short and I could get my head around the equipment and things before moving on to longer books, which is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, the children's book. So what was your direction and being able to bring those characters to life? Did you have any muses, or did you kind of go through cartoons or anything like that, or did you just read it and look at the pictures and decide this character should have this type of voice? So how did you make that happen?
I mean, I'm quite a visual person, so when I read, and when I read and when I just imagine things in my head, I've quite a fleshed out idea of the character in my head. I mean, following the descriptions, of course, but I also have a rough idea of what I want them to sound like, and I just it's mostly intuition, and I haven't had any complaints from authors going, "Oh my God, you got that character's voice totally wrong." So I think it's going pretty well so far. So yeah,
that's good.
It's been good. And I mentioned just now that I did 3 books that were set in China. And one of them was quite a very long kind of epic story, and there were like hundreds of characters in it. And so I had a lot of fun with a lot of the voices because I had to keep thinking of different ways I could modulate my voice to make it sound exactly what I imagined them to sound like.
So do authors kind of give you any insight outside of, reading the book and they say, well, her high-pitched voice or his, deep rumbly voice or whatever, do they kind of give you an idea about what they think the character should sound like, or is that creativity totally left up to you as the narrator?
I mean, sometimes the description's already in the book. So if someone has a deep gravelly voice, then I'll use deep gravelly voice. But most of the time, it's left up to me and my intuition. I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, so there was a character in a book I did called The Jasmine Wars, a sci-fi a novel set in China in the future, and there was a character called the Jade Women, and so. There wasn't much about her voice, other than something like her voice sounded like she smoked a lot of cigarettes, which which is like the broadest generalization ever. So I just kind of because she was quite a snooty woman as well, and she had a lot of power, and she just generally just did whatever she liked. So put on quite a posh voice. And added a bit of gravel at the end of the sentences, so kind of like, gosh, I'm trying to think of a line she said now.
So she sounds like me. She sounds like me because I got that whole frog in the throat thing. Like I smoked a bunch of cigarettes and I didn't.
Sound fine. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. So I just did a kind of like posh voice with a bit of gravel. So I just sounded like what I knew was exactly what I was talking about. It's kind of like that, and that was really bad. But anyway, and I did the chapter and I sent it to Dan, the author, and he sent it back to me. He said, "You got the voice totally right. That was like that. She sounds exactly like how I imagined." Which made me tremendously happy.
Yeah, you nailed
Yeah,
it.
it's always wonderful when an author tells you like you got it right, you brought my story to life, and
Hmm.
uh, yeah, that's all I ask for really. Like even back when I was doing podfics and fan fiction and things, like authors like really appreciated what I did, and they'd always send it back to me and go, gosh, like adding sound effects and music and doing the different character voices, um, it brings another dimension to the story.
Yeah.
It allows you to enjoy it in a different way. That's what I love about audiobooks, and that's why I love my job.
Yeah, I love your job too because you totally, understand that in those audiobooks, we want to have that book be brought to life and finding or hearing the perfect voiceover performer or narrator bring that character to life and be able to provide the emotion, and because we can't see anything and all we can do is hear, and when you can do that and I can listen to it and say, oh, I felt her pain, or oh, I hated her too, and oh, that person made me happy, or that person made me sad, or I understood how happy they felt just through you performing that, then that's when you know you've done a good job. So not only do the author are the authors appreciative of that, so are we as listeners, and you get it too because you enjoy audiobooks, and when you listen to them and that happens for you, you're just excited and you want to go and meet that person and say, I love you. Like, that's me. That might just be me though.
Mhm.
'Cause
Yeah.
it
No, I
makes
mean
me.
definitely, yeah. Like, when I pick up a book and I really enjoy it, I want to make more people appreciate the book. So, I don't know, and audiobooks are the best way to do that for me.
Yeah. Now, your routine when you get a new script and you're going to narrate a book, do you read it? And if you do, how long does it normally take you to, read through the whole book before you're ready to begin recording?
I mean, it depends on the length of the book, but let me think. So for Play of Light, which is my most recent release, that book's 10 hours long, approximately. I really loved that book, so I tore through it in a matter of hours. I do a first time read just to get the feel of the story and know what happens and know how many times a character appears and stuff like that, so I don't give them a really unidentifiable voice or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then I go through it a second time, more detailed, and I start annotating and color coding the characters' voices, and just something as basic as like green for the uncle, blue for the love interest, pink for the really excited flirty girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through it and would then highlight any directions that they gave me, like he shouted, or she said while sobbing, or something, I don't know. And yeah, and then after that I just go and do it. I just go to booth.
Yeah. And so do you have a home studio or do you have to go outside and record offsite?
I have a home studio. It's in my bedroom. It's kind of quite a makeshift kind of thing. I just drape some really, really thick carpet material over my wardrobe and over my bunk bed, so they kind of create like sound absorbing walls, so my voice doesn't like bounce off them. And I put my mic on a chair and I sit in a shorter chair, and I put my computer to the side so it doesn't whir, and I don't know. It's not ideal, but considering that I'm currently just doing this as a hobby, and I'm not currently financially independent. This is all I can do at the moment. But one day when if I don't know, if I decide I'm tired of law, and this is my plan B, or if I have time, just just on the side, then and I have the funds, then I'll go and set up a proper studio, and like aim for like more agencies and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the fact that you were able to come up with your quote, end quote, makeshift studio, I mean, I would have never thought to use, some type of carpeting and drape them around. No, my brain doesn't think that far. And, I'd probably just try to stuff myself in a closet and have the sound bounce off everything. I would totally suck at that. So,
I mean, to be fair, like when I first started out, I didn't know any of this. I mean, it took a bit of trial and error, like I said, which is why I look back at my old audiobooks and think, oh, I should have done this. Like Play of Light is probably like the first work that I truly feel that I will be proud of for a long time. Then again, I might look back at it in a year and think the same thing that I think about the stuff that I did a year ago. So who knows?
Yeah.
Um,
It's one of those funny things too, because you mentioned earlier that you're probably your worst critic, and I think most of us fall into that category where, to other people they're like, "Oh, it sounds good, it sounds fine," but then we're listening and we're like, "No, I could have changed that, or I could have done that differently." But nobody else knows that but us, because, we're comparing ourselves to ourselves, which is crazy. But that's just what we do, and so at least I know that you actually go back and listen to some of your other work. But I can probably picture your face cringing, saying, I
oh
didn't like
God. Yeah. No, sometimes when you just lying in bed or just doing something random and just daydreaming, and suddenly a really embarrassing memory just comes back to you out of the blue. Like it might have been something that happened like 6 years ago, and it
it.
just hits you, and you do that thing where you just cringe. And you go, no, 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 stop thinking about this. I need to get this out of my head. And they're like, oh my God, I have to do something else now because I need to stop thinking about this. And it's really painful. Um,
Exactly.
it's
I'm
kind
so
of
far
like that,
back.
except I'm a bit of a masochist because I actually force myself to go back and listen to my old stuff when I really have the free will not to do that. I guess, I guess, that's just
You're
how
a
it is.
glutton for punishment.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Although, you say I don't think it's such a bad thing to be your own worst critic. I mean, definitely, don't be so critical of yourself that it becomes a hindrance.
Right.
But, um, I mean, okay, I'm going to take a quote from an actor that I really admire. So you know how I mentioned that I really like BBC Merlin.
Yes.
So the actor who played Merlin once said in an interview, Colin Morgan, he once said in an interview, he said, he was his own worst critic, and someone said, oh, that must be really hard, and he said, I mean, you don't want anyone apart from yourself to be your worst critic, really. Like, having criticism come from the outside is far worse.
That's
Although
true.
that might be subjective, but at least you can, to some extent, control like what you think of yourself, whereas you can't really leave that to someone else's.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I never thought about it like that. So, okay, so we're gonna flip it and make it a positive and say being our worst critic is the best, because I'd rather criticize myself than hear a worse critic than me. I
yeah, I
totally
mean
just
it's a difficult balance to strike, I suppose.
yeah.
But I don't know. That's how I like to think about it.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. So you are in school for law, and so how do you balance between your workload or your hobby? I'm going to call it hobby work. Your hobby workload and your study and personal life, because law isn't something just simple. There's a lot of reading and
I
a
love
lot.
reading. I love reading. So, even if it whether it's a manuscript or a new audiobook or some text that I have to do for the university, I mean, it's still reading. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I just get through it and I balance it out. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a set plan for this kind of thing. It just kind of works out.
I wish I could have that life where I could say I don't really schedule, it just kind of works out. It never works out for me like that. So, man, you're so lucky. I'm kind of
Oh
jealous right
God.
now. I'm really jealous.
It does lead to a lot of late nights, but yeah,
Yeah.
let's not talk about that.
Yeah, like this one, since it's like midnight now. Wait, is it?
Yeah, it's midnight.
Okay, yes, I finally got the time zone thing right. So yes,
Well
score.
done.
Okay, okay. Last couple things. So, you sent us a sample. Tell me again a little bit about this book, the title and the author, and then we're going to listen to a clip.
Okay, so this book is called Play of Light and is written by Deborah Doxer. And it's about, so, the general story, the themes of the story about facing your devils from the past, facing your fears and overcoming a trauma from the past, and also, finding love amidst tragedy.
Okay.
It's quite a dark story. It's got a happy ending, I will say that, but it does deal with a lot of very dark themes, and the characters in the story have gone through a lot, but that's what makes it beautiful, I guess. Like finding love in, I mean, yeah, like the song "Finding Love in a Hopeless Place," and it, when I read the book, it really it moved me to tears, and I just thought, I have to make this beautiful, because this book, the message that it gives, and just really, really touching and really inspiring. I mean, yeah, like I love it.
And you should.
But
love
it. It's about, so I mean, like I've talked about it like generally, but basically there's a girl who basically comes back to her childhood home after 5 years. She left her childhood home when well, I can't say what happened, but something bad.
No.
But something very bad happens, and everything in her life falls to pieces. Okay. And so she leaves. And the book starts when she comes back 5 years later to overcome what happened in her past.
Okay.
And to find the love she'd lost and that kind of thing.
So everybody, we're going to listen to this beautiful sample here, and then we'll get a little bit more information about that. But here we go.
The moon was already on the other side of the house when I finally finished. Squinting through the darkness, I studied those eyes that were set so deep within his face below straight dark brows. I stared and stared at the picture. After a while, something about it made me start to cry. I only realized I was crying when a teardrop splashed down onto the top of his cheek, smudging the edge and making the paper buckle in that one spot. Then somehow, I knew. The look in his eyes became clear to me, like a window to his thoughts. He was scared. He was sad too, but mostly, he was terribly scared, all the time. A rustling noise on the ground caught my attention, before a familiar voice spoke. "You won't need Sarah's smile to wake you up in the morning, since it already is morning." I looked down, blinking at the shadows, but I couldn't see Spencer. "What are you doing here?" I whispered, as loudly as I could, without waking anyone up. "I got tired of watching you from my window. Didn't I tell you not to sit on the roof anymore?" My back stiffened. "Well, you can stop watching now. I'm going in." "Wait for me. I'm coming up." Quickly flipping my sketchbook closed, I leaned out and tried to see him. My heart stopped as I heard him beginning to climb. Beside me, the drain pipe rattled and creaked. "What are you doing?" I whisper yelled at him, terrified he was going to fall. "You can't climb up here that way." "Looks like I just did." His face appeared at the roofline, grinning up at me. His teeth were ghostly white, as his long fingers gripped at the side of the black shingles, and he hauled himself up beside me. "Just call me Spidey," he said with a smirk.
Just call me Spidey, and then it leaves us on the cliffhanger. So we get him climbing up to her window, and he's Spidey, and we can kind of sense that there's some type of relationship between these two characters, and it kind of leaves us wanting to know more about the book. That's the purpose of the sample, right, Leanne? That's why you picked that one, so that you can make us want to go buy this audiobook.
Yeah, I mean, I also purposely chose a sample that wasn't too spoilery.
Yeah, spoilery. I like that
because
word.
I really don't want to give away what happens. I mean, oh gosh, I really want to say it, but I can't.
You can't.
I guess.
No.
Yeah, I guess this is what actors feel when there are new TV shows or movies and they can't say what's happened. I guess
And you
that's what it
want
feels.
to. Yeah, so now you've experienced saying, oh, I really want to tell them this part, I want to share this part, but darn, I just can't because it's going to spoil the whole thing. But that means that you've piqued our interest, and now we want to go out and make sure that we get that. So is this the latest release, Leanne?
Yeah, yeah,
Is it available already?
yep. It's available on Audible and Amazon and wherever else ACX distributes to.
Okay, well, and give us the title again.
Play of Light
Play
by
of
Deborah
Light.
Doxer.
Okay, Play of Light by Deborah Doxer. So be sure that you go by and pick up that book. And also, Leanne, where can we find you either on social media or how can we just get in touch with you?
Okay, so my website is leanneyau.wordpress.com. That's leanneyau.wordpress.com. And on there, you can see a lot of my social media links. So I have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Leanne Yau Audio, SoundCloud at Leanne Yau. What else? Twitter, also at Leanne Yau. Yeah, and I guess, I mean, just do a Google search and you could probably find my stuff.
Except for there's another Leanne Yao out there somewhere on Skype because obviously.
Uh, yeah, no, we did have a bit of trouble finding each other before we started this thing, didn't we? Yeah, no. Because you sent me an email going, I sent you an invitation. I said, I don't see it. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, some
We
other
got there in the end.
Leanne got
Got there in the end.
it. Some other Leanne's gonna be like, "Who are you?" But anyway, so that would be the best way to go is to Leanne's website so that you can find all of her social media. Because if you Google search, there may be another Leanne Yao, and you may not end up with the right person. So we
Oh
want to make
gosh.
sure that you end up with the right person. And I am so
Yes,
excited
please
that
do.
yeah, we because you know they'll reach out to the other person and say, "Can you narrate my book?" And the person will be like, I'm a mathematician. I don't read books." So it's just an awkward
Yeah,
situation.
no, I mean, or they could take over my identity, Orphan Black style. I mean, that works too. But I mean, I'd rather not. I'd rather not, but that's a thing. Um, but so check out my stuff. I've got free stuff on Liverybox as well if you guys want to check out public domain audiobooks. Audible's good too. I hope you enjoy my stuff, dear audience.
The audience will enjoy all of your work, and we will be promoting it the entire week because Leanne is the featured voice for week 7. So be sure to stay tuned to all of the featured facts that will be taking place beginning on today, which is Monday, the 24th of July. Can't believe that we made it all the way through 2 months of the featured voice, which is just blows my mind.
Yeah,
And
well done.
Oh, thank you. It's been very well received, and so I'm just excited that I've been able to share your work with more people, and now my to be listened to library has tripled in the last 2 months. So I should thank you guys and not thank you for making me have a longer list and a bigger bill from Amazon ACX Audible. So, but that's the fun part about the work is being able to hear new narrators or narrators that I haven't been familiar with and falling in love with you guys. So thank you for what you do and for your work and again happy belated birthday and
Thank you.
19 is one of those ages where it's like and it sounds bad but it's like okay I'm 19. It's really nothing. It's just 19, 21, and then 25, and then 30. And then after that, just don't celebrate birthdays anymore. It's
Oh
just,
gosh.
I'm just kidding.
I
That was
mean, I
bad.
I intend to celebrate every birthday that comes. I
You
mean, maybe
should.
20 years later, I think differently. But when I'm old and grey and my hair's gone all white, I don't know. For my birthday, I might do something crazy like dye it pink. Um,
You should dye it pink.
I mean, yeah, because I won't have to bleach it because it'll be white. Like, yeah, it'll be great, and I'll be the coolest grandmother on the block, or the most embarrassing one, I guess.
You know what's so funny about that statement you just said? You said maybe 20 years later, and I'm like, I'm at that 20 years later. Ah, you just made me feel so old. Ah, thank you. I
No, please
appreciate.
don't feel that. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But thank you so much, Leanne, for being with us on the featured voice. I do hope that you get some rest tonight slash this morning, and we look forward to learning more about you during this week. I can't wait to share all of the fun facts that you sent me over with the audience. And again, everyone, if you're interested in Leanne and Leanne's work, be sure that you visit her website. And also, if you want to know more about what's in her library, be sure to visit her on audible.com and just do a search of her name. And be sure that you're following us on Facebook under The Audio Flow. It's The Audio Flow, and also on Twitter at the_audio_flow, and Instagram at The Audio Flow. Everywhere, we're The Audio Flow. Be sure that you follow us. For this week's featured voice, I'm Jacques, and we will chat with you next week. Bye.
Bye.